being here today. On yesterday, the Tarrant City Council's few remaining supporters decided to file an impeachment lawsuit against me. Let me be clear. This lawsuit isn't just frivolous. It's copied almost word for word from a lawsuit filed in 2019 against another Alabama mayor. To make matters worse, many of the allegations they've thrown at me don't even apply to the City of Tarrant. One claim accuses me of causing the foreclosure of the Tarrant City sewer system. Well, the truth is, Tarrant doesn't even own a sewer system, nor will it ever will. Another claim says I misused a city-issued credit card. Let me be clear. I don't have, nor have I ever had, a city-issued credit card. There's also an accusation that I own a company called Covenant Benefit Group, LLC, and that I use city resources to promote this business. The reality is, I don't own that company. The company belongs to the mayor who was the original target of this recycled lawsuit. The council and their supporters didn't even bother to verify the facts. They just copied and pasted the false allegations from an entirely different case. This isn't just an attack on me. It's a deliberate attempt to mislead the people of this city and to detract us from the real issues we face. The council seems more interested in playing political games than in working to improve the city. This lawsuit is just the latest attempt to block progress. They've repeatedly stood in the way of my efforts to improve the city. They've refused to approve much needed equipment to maintain our infrastructure. They've imposed a hiring freeze, making it impossible for us to bring in staff we need to keep the city moving forward. Even worse, the council has refused to hold the police chief accountable for falsifying crime statistics. This isn't just bad leadership, it's a violation of the public trust. Despite these roadblocks, I'm committed to doing everything that I can to make Tarrant a safer, better place for all of us. Just last week, the city council stooped to a new low. They worked with the police chief and the city clerk to fabricate fake arrest warrants against me and members of my administration. Their goal was to have us arrested on false charges. The warrants were so clearly fraudulent that the judge they deceived had to recall them. This reckless behavior shows how far they're willing to go to stop me from doing my job. I also want to make something clear, and this is exactly what we have. I also want to make clear that I'm paying for my defense against this baseless lawsuit out of my own money. I will not use city funds to fight these lies. As a mayor, I believe it is my duty to be responsible for taxpayers' dollars. The council has already wasted enough of the city's monies on their political stunts. In addition, I'm filing a bar complaint against Scott Morrow, the attorney who filed this plagiarized lawsuit. As a member of the Alabama State Bar, I find it both embarrassing and disappointing that a fellow attorney would copy a lawsuit without checking the accuracy. I have full faith that the Alabama State Bar will take appropriate actions to ensure Scott Morrow is held accountable. From day one, my mission has been to improve Tarrant for everyone. I will not be distracted by these desperate and dishonest tactics. My focus remains on making our streets safer, improving city services, and working hard to serve the people of Tarrant. This lawsuit is a distraction, but it will not stop me from doing my job. My commitment to the people of Tarrant remains strong, and I will continue working with integrity, transparency, and determination to move this city forward, no matter what obstacles the council and their supporters will throw. Thank you, and I'll be happy to take your questions.
Though the lawsuit to the impeach was taken from another city, what do you want to say to these people who clearly don't want you in office anymore? What do you have to say to them?
Well, what's interesting about that is that it's just a small minority. And the individual that you actually hear with the bullhorn, he's actually a former city employee. He doesn't even live in the city of Tarrant. He was fired because he caused the city to have to spend $40,000 to repair a truck, and it wasn't approved. And it's my understanding that the reason why he's doing that is because he's going to serve as the campaign manager for one of the council members who's going to run against me. And it's also my understanding that he has been promised his old job back. So.
It's no secret that there's been a lot of drama in Tarrant. What do you want to say to people who are just tired of all of that?
I want to say I'm tired too. And that every day that I come into my office, I have the sole goal of moving the city forward. And I want to let the citizens of this city know that the employees, the staff that we've had, that they're fed up with it too. And not only are they fed up with the antics, that they're fed up with the fact that they have all of the skills and capabilities that are necessary to move the city forward, but they're being prevented from doing such by the council. And they actually want to move the city forward as well. And so what I will say to citizens is that if you're tired, come August of 2025, the fourth Tuesday, you know what to do. And that is, we have to get rid of this council. That they are reckless, that they are determined to do everything that they can to stop any type of progress or any type of forward moving of the city. And it's a shame. Because like me, they took an oath to do what was necessary to move the city forward. But rather than doing that, they've decided to focus on their own personal gains and their personal benefits, and it's to the detriment of citizens. It's to the detriment of the city.
Mayor, we covered y'all a bunch this year, last year. Where did all this start, and can it be mended?
I don't think it can be mended. And it started very clear. Each individual council member has their own personal gripe against me. Councilor Bryant, when I won, I had requested a meeting with him, and I actually met him at his house. And he looked me in the eyes and he said that I was an illegitimate mayor. He said that I had bussed black people over from Collegeville, the neighborhood that I grew up in, and that was the only reason why I won. And he said that that I had taken the place of the rightful mayor in his eyes, that was Laura Horton. Prior to me running, the old regime had made a deal, and it was Laura Horton's turn to run the city. And I upset the apple cart by daring to go out and talking to people and letting the people know the type of city that they could have, as opposed to the type of city that they've been getting under the leadership of Tommy Bryant, Councilor Tommy Bryant, and the former council member Laura Horton. Kathy Anderson and Debbie Matthews, they've had a personal gripe against me because they too, because they served on the council with Laura Horton, they felt as though it was her turn to be mayor, that she had quote unquote earned it, that she was next in line. And so they had an issue with me becoming mayor. In addition to that, they also had an issue with the fact that when I found out that they were using city employees from our electric department to go and actually do work on property that their family owned, I reported them to the Ethics Commission. And not only did the Ethics Commission actually do an investigation, they actually called them down to Montgomery and they required them to sit for a hearing. And Kathy Anderson and Debbie Matthews have said time and time again that they were upset at the fact that they had to spend over $25,000 in attorney's fees to fight that ethics charge. Otherwise, they were most likely going to go to jail. Councilor Tracy Threadford, she has an issue with me because she wanted me to hire her husband for public works, that he was routinely out of work, and so she wanted him to get employment. And I told her no, that wasn't the type of administration that I wanted. That wasn't what I wanted to do, and it goes against everything that I ran on and that I believe in. And I actually passed a internal policy, a nepotism policy that the council refused to pass, saying that barring that from happening. In addition to that, Tracy Threadford was also upset with me because I wouldn't get behind the idea of appointing her husband to be on the school board. One of the reasons why I actually ran was because it was very incestuous in the leadership of this city. The mayor pro tem of the former mayor pro tem, Laura Horton, her husband was not only on the school board, but he's currently on the housing authority. You have two sisters, Debbie Matthews and Kathy Anderson. They both served on the Tarrant City Council, and they still do. In fact, Debbie Matthews, what's interesting about her is that she's never actually had to go before the people to run. This is her second term. The first term that she served, she was appointed. And the reason why she was appointed was because her husband used to serve in that seat. Well, when they divorced, I guess she was awarded the council seat in the divorce, and they appointed Debbie Matthews to serve on the council with her sister to replace her ex-husband. And this last term, the person that was running against her, he didn't file the necessary paperwork, and so she won by default. And so that's why you have those two are against me, and also Tracy Threadford. In addition to that, as you can see, that's the former Tarrant employee that's applying for his new job. In addition to that, there is Veronica Freeman, and it's well documented. She has an issue with the fact that she wanted to constantly go on trips on behalf of the city and get the city to pay for it, and I refused to go for it. And every time she attempted to go, I spoke up about it. And it's gotten so bad that even though the council act as a unit, even the council had to step in and start voting against her going on all these trips. So that is why. It's a personal. Has absolutely nothing to do with moving the city forward. It has nothing to do with citizens. It's simply because they want their way and they want to run the city.
How has this hurt the city in this term? I mean, has Tarrant been able to do anything positive
In spite of all of this, we've been able to get quite a bit accomplished. However, there's a whole lot of other things that we could have gotten accomplished simply because of this. One of the first things that I did when I moved into the mayor's seat was I reached out to a local bank, and I explained to them that we have all of these vacant properties here in the city, and that it would be great if we can actually get homeowners into these houses. And they actually agreed with everything that I said. And they've actually agreed to allow Tarrant to participate in a certain loan program. This is a loan program that the banks had as a result of the Dodd-Franklin Act that said that they had to invest in communities similar to Tarrant. And so under this arrangement that we had with this local bank, if a person had between a 620 and a 680 credit score, they could move in with a 2% down payment, and they would get $4,000 towards closing costs. If a person had over a 680 credit score, they can move in with no down payment, and they would still get the $4,000 towards closing costs. When that agreement was put in place and everyone was on board, that was the incident in which the council member said during our council meeting, he called one of his colleagues a racial epithet. And as a result of that, we had to put that on the back burner. In addition to that, there have been several grants that we knew for a fact that we would have been competitive for. But through informal channels, we were told that because of the political volatility and the instability in the city of Tarrant, that we weren't going to be approved for the grant. And the sad thing about it is, if you look at the money that has come from the federal government to communities like Tarrant within the last 4 years, it would have been transformative and monumental in moving this city forward. And we've also had, lastly, I've also had some state and federal, some local officials and some state officials and even some federal officials flat out say that they don't feel comfortable working with our city because they just don't want to get dragged into the mess. And to be perfectly honest with you, as mayor, I completely understand. Last week I was here. Last year I was here. Last week I was here talking about the fraudulent arrest warrants that they concocted against me and some city employees. This week I'm here to talk about the plagiarized lawsuits that they filed. And it's definitely having an effect.
I guess my final question, what keeps you coming to the office?
What keeps me coming to the office is that I make it a point to actually talk to citizens. And I just don't talk to citizens at city council, nor do I actually talk to citizens, the citizens that vote. Citizens are actually paying attention to everything that we do. They know everything that's going on. They know individual council members. They know the antics of the individual council members. They know everything. And one of the things that they always say is that we understand what you're doing and we understand what you're going through. And if you know anything about the history of Tarrant, as it relates to black people, to anyone that's different, to anyone that's outside the city, that the playbook that you're seeing, how they're weaponizing the police force, how they're concocting these phony charges against me, they've been doing it for the past 40, 50 years. So this is nothing new. The beautiful thing about it is that they actually have someone that has the legal knowledge and the know-how to fight back. And that's exactly what I'm doing. I'm fighting back. I'm fighting back for everybody that they've done this to in the past that were afraid to fight back. I'm fighting back for everybody that wanted to fight back, but they had a job and they were afraid that they were going to lose their job. I'm an entrepreneur. I pay myself. So I don't have to worry about losing a job. So that is why I do this. Mm-hmm.
As we look at the suit and the plaintiffs, you can see we can see that there's a connection between 4 of them live in that senior citizens home that had an issue with. I think it was like earlier this year where you wouldn't do exactly what they wanted with the landlord, something about that. So 4 of the plaintiffs are in that. One of the plaintiffs, well, 2 of them are part of the crime commission, of which, there's definitely a clash going on. So the fact that none of them actually vetted this lawsuit, and how you can see the connection. I see the connection, so I'm sure you do too. And Leon, can you cross some T's and dot some I's for?
Well, one of the things that they did, I've spoken with my attorneys, and we're going to insist that they do, is that this is the type of suit that they file requires it to be verified, meaning they have to sign it under oath, and that wasn't in there. And so we're going to request that each individual, the 5 taxpayers, sign it under oath. Now, the attorney, by virtue of him being an attorney and signing something and submitting it to the courts, the bar is going to handle that. I mean, he had an obligation to check the truthfulness and the veracity of everything that he presented to the bar. So the fact that he's claiming that I own Covenant Benefit Group and that's clearly owned by someone else, the fact that he's claiming that that I don't post notices, and if you look under our local ordinance and state law, I mean, that's the job of the city clerk. But even more so than that, he said some things that are more egregious. One of the things that he alleged is that I conspired with the mechanic, and I had the mechanic put old parts on city vehicles, and I guess he charged the city for new parts. Well, the only mechanic that we've been using, we have invoices for everything, and I'm pretty sure he can provide the invoices that he, in turn, actually got the parts new. Again, this is a copy and paste. This was a political stunt, and once again, they did not do everything that they were supposed to do, and it makes the city look bad. Not only does it make the city look bad, it also makes them look bad. It makes their supporters look bad. And so we will see whether or not they sign it under oath. I suspect that they probably won't, and I also suspect that the attorney is probably going to be withdrawing it probably within the next 24 hours because there's the Accountability Litigation Act that says that lawyers are not permitted to file frivolous lawsuits, and clearly this is frivolous. If I was the mayor of that other city, then I could see it, but again, it doesn't apply to the situation here in Tarrant. So, all right. Well, thank you.